Will India be able to break the logjam between the West and Russia at the G20 foreign ministers meeting to be held in Delhi later this week? Days after a joint communique could not be adopted at the finance ministers meeting in Bengaluru, the Ukraine issue is now back at centre stage and the focus squarely on India. Though government sources have dismissed the commentary regarding the chair's summary as politically biased and motivated and said it reflected the Bali consensus, however, as G20 president, will India be able to bring consensus between the West and Russia, which is now supported by China? Western nations including the US, Germany, Canada, France, Japan, Italy and the EU refer to the war in Ukraine as Russian aggression and condemn the move. Russia says this is not a war per se, but a special operation triggered in part by Western moves against its territorial integrity.
There are countries around the world, notably Russia, that are challenging the rules-based order, the principles of the UN Charter, the principles of international law, the principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We'll continue to discuss these issues with our Indian partners. I have no doubt that they'll be on the agenda for and around the G20.
NDTV has now learnt about the sharp differences which emerged at the finance ministers' meeting last week from this first-hand account.
There are 2 paragraphs on which there was no agreement, and there are 17 or 18 paragraphs on which agreement was reached in principle. So at this stage of the G20 presidency that India has assumed, I would say it is not ideal to not have a communique, but I think we can also see where the disagreements were and where agreements have emerged.
In the run-up to the September G20 summit of the world leaders, India would be pushing for a declaration, but knows that can happen only if there is consensus. So far, there are no signs of that emerging. The already existing differences over the Ukraine war are becoming even more pronounced when it comes to the language or the text with reference to the war in the joint communique of the G20 leaders in the various meetings. After the Bengaluru incident, now a similar situation threatens the foreign ministers' meeting of the G20 leaders in New Delhi. Will India be able to drive a consensus through, or will a joint communique in New Delhi also be difficult? In New Delhi, this is Maha Siddiqui for NDTV.